Hey, hey, everybody! This is Joe for the Dave and Joe Show. Welcome to the Dave and Joe Show. Tonight it is May 24th, 2019. It is 9 minutes after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Dave Byron, what's going on, Rockin' Dave?
What is happening, Rockin' Joe and all? We're having a great time, my friend. I just got down the street from the YMCA. Everything is.
You went to see the Rev, man?
I certainly did. I got myself saved. I got me some. He baptized me in Kool-Aid, and boy, all is great.
Wow, I can't wait to hear that story later on. That is going to be amazing, man. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. And there we go. There's a notification that just came out on. There we go. So everything should be up and running.
Everything's up and running.
Awesome. All righty, man. So
Dave, let's see. If I hit this button here, what should happen?
Yes. See if you can pull it up on your end. I got the notifications on my end, so we should be live.
Yeah, it looks like we are live.
So let me hit
pull
it
up
here.
Button. Yeah.
Let me pull it up on my end and see what we got. And so I can see the chat. Let's see. Yep, it says right there, the Dave and Joe Show live.
Woo-hoo.
All right. We are live. All right. That's awesome, man. Okay, now, Dave, I want to ask you a question.
Okay, I think I got an answer for you.
Okay,
we'll see.
Tell me, when you got that Ibanez right there, how long have you had that Ibanez, and where did you get it?
I think we had this now about a year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You've had it for a year.
Yeah,
okay.
about a year. You know what? I meant to get the mixer. See, we meant to go just to buy the Yamaha mixer, the 12 channel.
Okay.
I just said that the new version. And so I really think Deb liked that blue Ibanez. That was the blue burst with the ash body.
The flat Blue Lagoon that I was looking at?
No. It was the one that I think Jason Wade has one. I think Mitch Heyman has one, and so does EJ's Guitars. And it wasn't the Prestige, but it was the exact same finish where it's got an enamel finish, blue burst. It has the sides and the back is ash body, but it looks like it's maple, the maple fretboard. I mean, it's a beautiful looking guitar. So what happened was, check that out, and I think they wanted $600 for it or something like that. And then I saw the White Gem Junior, brought that off the rack. So it was another Ibanez I brought off the rack. Then I brought the 8-string down off the rack just for shits and giggles, and I brought something else down. And I was playing each one for a while, and this one was hanging up. They did not have that blue burst one, the one that you were playing.
Okay.
So they had this one hanging up, and I thought, honestly, from the side, I thought, it's kind of ugly, man, but let me just try it anyways. And when I plugged it in, Joe, it felt, comfortable.
Oh, man. I know. Dude. When I went to...
Just like you said.
When my son and I went to Guitar Center on May the 4th, the day after my birthday, I saw
birthday.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. I saw yours hanging up, the brown one, and then right behind it was the flat Blue Lagoon. That's hard to say, that flat Blue Lagoon. It was hanging, and I looked at my son. I said, "There's that Ibanez that I remember seeing here last year." It's and I don't know if it's the exact same one, but I remember seeing that color and that model the year before, and I picked it up off the rack, and man, it just felt so comfortable. I've always been a fan of Ibanez guitars, always have. Now, what was your thoughts on the Gem Junior? Because you said did you like that? I mean, when you pulled it off the rack, did you?
I liked it a lot. I mean, I almost walked out with that one. I really liked it.
For a $500, Steve Vai model, you can't go wrong. That guitar guitar is incredible for $499.
It is incredible, Joe. The thing is that if you were to drop in the exact same pickups, maybe the exact same bridge, if you want to do the exact same wiring, you're going to get so close to it. It's not even going to be funny, because if you look back and, when those first came out, he did not have the very top of the line, or he had close to it, but it's not like the gems that later on.
Right.
So his very first one that came out, and I think that was in '87. It was whatever Ibanez put together, and Steve Vai says, okay, let's start making some improvements here and there. That's like the Joe Satriani model. I wish to God I would have never lost that catalog, because the original one that Joe played, it kind of looked like the back of a RG. So you know how the RG is, it's nice and thick. However, the back from the back of the body to the face of the guitar, on the bottom of the guitar, it came up on an angle, and the guitar actually came down, like it was almost like contoured downwards, and it was very squared off, and it had like 3 switches. That was the very first one that I seen Joe Satriani hold in the catalog, and then we could actually use that. Then later on, it became I forget what model they turned it into, because Ibanez was still going through a lot of different experimenting, and then eventually it turned into the Satriani model. But what you're saying, for $500, man, you can't go wrong with that guitar.
No, you can. I love mine, and I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm gonna say it right here, right now. There is an Ibanez I'm looking at right now that I have in my shopping cart on American Musical, and it's a what is the name of the color? It's I think it says like Dragon Burst or something. It is.
That's what this is. But it might be a little different.
It's not that model. It's like I think it's a S series.
Yeah,
and it's got the oh man, what's the name of the tremolo? It's I want to say something Wizard or something. Something Wizard is in there somewhere. And this guitar, the one I'm looking at, it's $100 more than the gem. It's $599. And
nice.
And it is freaking gorgeous. It's got a maple neck, and what I love about it, like what yours is, the headstock color, the headstock at the top matches.
It matches the
yes, the same body as or the color of the body rather. And man, I cannot stop looking at that Ibanez, man. And I was like, I would love to have that.
Yeah, they make some great guitars. There's a lot of great guitar companies out there, man. Holy crap, you know what it is, Joe? Everyone's fighting for the same market. So they're good at all try to get that. They're going to capture that. But I started playing Ibanez guitars back in '79, late '79, when I bought a used Artist. I was I forget how old I was, man. After a while, years go by, you forget. But that guitar, man, was built like a tank. And then my friend Andy, he had a 1979 Ibanez Paul Stanley model.
Oh,
he only paid $500 for that thing. Check this out. So $500 in mint condition, brand new. And see, back then, you didn't have all these goofy regulations on woods and on ivory or anything like that. So those guitars were primo. So in 1985, 86, the Fender Strat was dominating the market because of all the pop and rock. Everyone had that Strat sound. A Stratocaster plugged into a stereo chorus amp, that was the thing. So the prices of even Les Pauls were starting to drop a little bit because nobody wanted to play a double coil or a humbucking pickup guitar. So they had a used Paul Stanley at Guitar Center in Chicago when it was on Milwaukee Avenue, and it was hanging there for $250, man. And I thought, well, I'll come back. It was a little beat up, but I thought, I'll come back later. And I never did. And then the last time I seen a used one was in 1997 at the Arlington Heights, Illinois Guitar Center. And that was going for about $2,500, man. And I almost had a heart attack. Because I think, damn, I could have bought the one for, any of their guitars from, I'm going to say like 76 to the very early 80s. You want to talk about primo made guitars, man. Those are it. And only because it says Ibanez, and those are the ones that are made in Japan.
Right.
So I'm starting to look at like Craigslist or Reverb, and I've seen a couple used Ibanez musician guitars. Now those were the ones that I think those are one of their first runs or their first models that had a neck through. and they made two models, a flat top and a semi-arch top. And it was kind of similar to the Paul Reed Smith. Not exactly like the Paul Reed Smith, but I could see where Paul got some of his ideas from. You know, because he started making his guitars in '76, so it's around the same time. But anyways, I mean, these guitars, you got ebony fretboards, solid mahogany body, rock maple wood, ivory, you know, half bone, half brass sustain, you know, for your nut. And then underneath the bridge, the sustained black. And you want to talk about tone? Those guitars were killer. So I see a couple used ones for like $700. I think the most expensive one is like $1,500. But my artist that I had, I think that's on the market for about $3,000. So you know,
wow.
I don't know. You know, these you know, the new Les Paul, the L8s and the L9s and the L7s. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're nice guitars. Mm-hmm. But for me personally, if I'm going to buy something that's going to be a reissue of something old, now I know Gibson will always hold their value, but I might as well go back into buying something that I know I personally like, and that, I mean, it's not the 1950s or anything, but the woods of the 70s. Ibanez was giving Gibson such a run for their money.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it was like the war, the game was on, man. The battle was on, and if back in the day, you'd get the Guitar Player magazine, and you open up the ads, and it would have a picture of an Ibanez artist and a Les Paul Standard, and the caption would be, "Why spend this much money for this guitar when you could buy ours for like $300, $400?" And that's when Gibson was starting to get pissed and say, "Hey, man, you know, you're kind of like bashing us." You know what I mean?
Competition is the name of the game. Let me address the chat right here, Mr. Dave. We got. Let me just say hey to people that are taking the time to join us. Thank y'all very much. Jim Guidry is in the house. Mr. Mitch Heyman is in the house. Thank you. R2R3 Lockingnut has joined. Thanks, man. Let's see here. Who else we have? We got Mr. Paul Rodriguez. He says, Dave, that's a nice guitar.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Let's see. R2R3 says, that's my Guitar Center, Dave.
Arlington Heights, right? Yep.
Yeah. Mitch Heyman says, Joe Wentz project, is this it? The Ibanez S6770 QM electric guitar Dragon I-Burst? Yes, that is it, Mr. Heyman. That's it. That's it. It's yeah, he puts in there, Mitch Heyman says it's a Wizard 3 maple neck. That's it. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Heyman. Thank you, man. That's and if I'm correct, I want to say it's $5.99 on American Musical Supply, and it is gorgeous, man. I cannot stop looking at that thing. Blackie DH is in the house too. So thank y'all for joining. Dave, was you able to pull up the chat on your end, sir?
Yes, and I want to say hi to R2R3. I want to say hi to Jim Guidry, to Blackie, to Mitch Heyman, and anyone else that I cannot see at the moment. I got to put this screen here. You know how it is with me.
You're doing good, man. You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing great.
You give me an Etch-a-Sketch, and I'm all right.
An Etch-a-Sketch. Lucretia girl.
Lucretia.
I hope the Rev don't pop in here. We all be in trouble.
Man. Oh yeah, we'll be damned to hell.
Who? Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
But so you've had that one for about a year, and
yeah,
like I asked you did try to. What made you choose that? And this is just it's nothing bad. I'm just asking. Oh. What made you choose that over the Jim Jr.?
Well, you know, this was the last on the list. I left this hanging on the rack. I just went to grab it because I really didn't like the way it looked. You know,
the brown one there.
Yeah. This and I mean the whole thing. And I thought, oh, what the hell, you know, man. As soon as I plugged it in, started playing it, boom, it felt comfortable.
So you didn't get that. You didn't get that same feeling with the Jim Jr.?
I kind of got the. Here's the thing. I got that with the Jim Jr. and the same one with Mitch Heyman. The one that Mitch Heyman has, I think, is a Prestige, but they also make the exact same model, non-Prestige, with the exact same bridge. If I hold this bridge up, this is not the low profile. The
Okay.
Ibanez that I found in the dumpster, that's got the low profile. That's got the true edge tremolo system. This is, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they're changing, things. I don't know. But anyways, so the other reason is, that contour on the back, like how the Strat is for the arm.
Yeah.
Well, I've always gotten used to like Les Paul style guitars, or I had an Ibanez Destroyer, which is like an Explorer, and I had a Gibson Flying V. So my hand was like this. So with that and all the years of developing my picking technique, then when I got into the Strats, now my wrist was a little bit arched, and it made a difference.
Oh.
So I not really quite gotten used to that over even all the years. So as soon as I grabbed this, bam.
It doesn't have that. Okay.
It doesn't have that.
Okay.
And then plus they left the whammy bar on this. So I'm messing around with the whammy bar and I couldn't get the thing to go out of tune, man. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's unheard of. I know, because when I picked up that model, it was the blue one. The whammy bar was on that, and I couldn't believe it, because usually that's one of the main things Guitar Center would take all the whammy bars off.
Oh yeah,
because people will steal them, and on that model it was on there, and yeah, I did it. Now, of course, when I plugged it up, it was like I was trying to do the fine tuners, because of course the locking nut was all tightened down. I was like, oh man. So I got it close as I could get, and then I went and played it, man. And it was what was it called? What does the Guitar Center call that? I don't know if it's for the month of May. I don't know if it's just for the first week.
Like the Guitarathon?
Yeah, is that like a month-long thing, or is that just like for 2 weeks?
That's been going on since 1997, Joe. They always have a guitar. No, I know what you mean.
Don't they have it a certain time of year, though, right? Or is it just
you know what? They do. They do, and I forget what it's called. But here's the thing. Because sales have been a little bit slow in the guitar industry.
Oh yes,
they're good to have what they do is this: they'll have on specific models and specific brands. They're going to have like a big sale on that item, and then they're going to call it something like a green tag sale or something like that.
Yeah,
but it'll be only on certain models. And then when you get the catalog, you get like 10 to 15% off. You got to really read the fine print, because sometimes they'll say, all right, it's only on certain items, but not this or that, Now, we did get the Bose L1 compact system a few years ago. Yeah, quite a few years ago. But they only dropped it $100. That's as low as I've seen it. In other words, it's, $9.99. So we got it for $8.99.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. It was wild, because that guitar I was playing, like the model you have, it said Guitarathon, and not all the not all the guitars had that thing on there. But it said Guitarathon. It said $3.99, and I said, well, that ain't bad. And here's the thing: a week later, I'm laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm window shopping for that guitar. I pulled it up on Reverb, and it was $5.99. Some of the ads on Reverb were $5.99, and then I went to Guitar Center, but it wasn't $3.99. The Guitar Center here, it wasn't $3.99. It said it went back up to $4.99. And I was like, well, that's why I was asking, how long does this thing supposedly last? I was like, is it already off sale? Yeah, I don't know. I don't frequent Guitar Center.
No, you know what?
Much, so
there was a YouTuber that told me, he said, I got mine for $3 something. Maybe it was $3. I can't remember exactly. But we were able to get $50 off, because he got his through Musician's Friend. And, Musician's Friend and Guitar Center. So we had spent a whole hell of a lot of money throughout the years. That's just the 20 years that Deb and I have been married. We're almost at, we're almost at 6 figures at Guitar Center. I kid you not.
Now, would you rather purchase your gear like at Guitar Center, or do you have anything against ordering online?
No, I got nothing. I like Sweetwater. I used to get your American Music Supply, and I'll tell you what, they got some great deals. Great deals.
I've never had an issue with them. I've always been good. And the reason why, I've said this before, but I'll say it again, just in case nobody hasn't heard it. The reason I deal with like American Musical is because I didn't have to apply for a credit card or nothing like that. They take it. You can make your own. You can make your own choice. They can take it out of your checking account with your debit card, or you can put in your credit card or whatever. And they're easy. They're easy to do business with. You know, I didn't have to do a credit check or nothing like that. Now, I'm been doing business with American Musical about long as you and Deb has been married. I've been doing business with them for like 20 years.
Nice.
So, of course, that does have something to do. Now I'm at that. I don't know if you call it a plateau or I don't know what you'd call it, but I've been doing business there for so long
that you got stock in them.
that whenever I place an order or whatever, and, you know, and they'll say if it's past 3 payments, they do have on there it says we need to check your credit or whatever, and like if you sign up for 8 payments or 12 payments. But now every time I get something from there, it used to be a long time ago, it's like, we'll get back with you in a day or two. We have to see if you're if this is going to be approved. Now they don't even do that. I just hit boop and it goes, thank you for your order. My name must be
sweet.
On say, there's that Wentz boy again. He's ordering something else. Go ahead and get it to him real quick. Make his ass happy so he'll come back. He pays.
That's right.
But and that's what I like, because I can make payments, you know, and much as I love going to Guitar Center, I have nothing against Guitar Center. I think I've been there a few times where some of the people working there, they were young kids, and I don't think they really knew. Maybe I could be wrong. Looks can be deceiving, but the thing to me, going to Guitar Center is almost, now this might be a stretch, it's almost like a little bit of torture, because like I saw that guitar, like what you got, I saw it and I wanted it, but I didn't have $400 on me to get it. But with AMS, they, you know, pay us $50 today and we'll ship it to you in 3 days. And then I have it. And then they just take a payment out a month. And I'm like, that's how I got look at this, man. That's how I get all my equipment.
That's great.
With AMS, because I make payments and they say, well, it'll be, 50 or 60 a month. I can swing that. That's for me. That's nice. For me, it's a lot easier to do that as opposed to just dishing out a lot of money at one time, because I can't do that. I got bills to pay and all that stuff. But like I said, everybody has what they like. AMS works for me, and that's just what I like. Everybody likes what they like. R2R3 makes a comment. He says Guitar Center has given me good deals, and with the Guitar Center credit card, it's great. No payments and no interest plans. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jim Guidry says the Guitar Center where he is located is really small, and that's the way it is. The way it is here too. The Guitar Center here is really small. It's like in a little shopping strip mall kind of deal. So it's small.
Yeah,
it's really small.
Now the one that R2R3, the one that's in Arlington Heights, that used to, before it was in Arlington Heights, it was still in Chicago on Milwaukee Avenue. It was an old AMP and it was huge. But see, back in the 80s, Guitar Center really wasn't corporate, because you could go in there and, man, you want to talk about wheeling and dealing, man. I you know what, the things that my friends did when the Boss digital delay first came out.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I should say, well, maybe it doesn't matter because he's probably moved on. Maybe he's the CEO, who knows? It doesn't matter. But and there was a guy there. They had so much inventory of that, so he wanted to make some extra bucks. So you meet him in the back in the alley, and you give him a couple of bucks, a bag of weed, and boom, the deal's done. Oh, you want the adapter? Here, I'll throw the adapter, but don't tell anybody, man.
Wow.
It was wild, man. But I think, but see, back then, they also, you'd walk in, and it would be like all the Marshall stacks.
Yeah.
And I remember he had them all hooked up. He says, Dave, you want to hear what this sounds like? I says, yeah, why not? All I did was play an A chord. And what he did, he had it, you plug into the first, it was all the JCM 800s. You plug into the one, and they had a daisy chain to each.
Oh, wow.
So you turn it, the volume was barely on number one, and the whole floor was shaking, man. It's like, holy crap.
That is cool. That is cool. That is cool. Let me move into a little bit different direction.
Yeah.
I know since I've known you, you've pretty much it's kind of been split down the middle. You've been more or less of a solo kind of performer, and you have done the duo thing. But a lot of times I see you as doing a solo thing. Why do you do that instead of being in a band?
Okay. I love being in bands. That's the era I came from. You know, one of the main reasons is when we started doing all our road shows, and especially when we went over to Europe, they gotta be on the same page, man. I mean, that's not the time to say, well, I artistic differences, or you get into an argument, or my girlfriend, or if it's a girl playing in a band, my boyfriend, whatever the case might be. Because once you got those gigs booked, man, see, here's the deal. A lot of people, well, we all love this, number one, because we love to play for the love of it. And then you
Right.
get the envision, like, wouldn't that be great to just be able to do music for a living? Now it becomes a job. And the job side of it is you really do have to treat it like that. That's not the time to play egotistical rock star. You get in a hotel and you smash TVs and all that. As man, you'll have a real short-lived career. I'll tell you that real quick. So what we did is, we just started doing all our road shows, and also because I get hired for the classical and the flamenco style guitar, but I also love to play the rock and the metal, so I'm able to put the two together. And over the course of time, with all the looping pedals, it just worked. But don't get me wrong, I love playing in bands. There's nothing like that interaction.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always loved it too. But then as I got older, and then uh, my job became more and more demanding,
Yeah.
it just got to where I was like, man, I can't do this. I can't. Uh, as I say, it's you can't serve two masters.
No.
It's like I need to do what a man's supposed to do. I got to work and pay the
Yep.
bills, and so I got away from that. And then, but just that's my main reason is because of my schedule, my work schedule. So if I can sit here and play, whether it's to 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, whatever, vicariously through YouTube here, I love that. Technology nowadays
Yeah.
it's so different. It's so different. People, I feel, are going to move more and more toward convenience. If
Absolutely.
if somebody can hold this up and watch you do something like when you go out and you play like at the Blue Monkey or and those other
Hmm.
places, if somebody can sit there and watch that and have a beer in their own house or whatever, a Pepsi or whatever, they're going to do that because
Oh
it's
yeah.
convenient and they can still interact via the live chat. So and it
Absolutely,
and it
Joe.
and it's not costing them nothing.
Yeah. And you think
It's not
about this.
costing anything.
Here's what killed the live scene. It's not completely dead, but it's going through this. It's going through this shift, and they're trying to figure out what
Right.
should we do. What started this is, all right, the DUIs, and a lot of people like you and like myself, like Deb, and like other people, we do have CDL license. And it's like you get in your car, you get a ticket, you got a CDL license, you're getting a CDL ticket. You know what I
You're
mean?
you're done.
You're
Yeah,
done.
you're done.
And then the smoking ban. So when they stopped the smoking ban, all that crap.
Oh
So
yeah.
it
Yeah.
split. So, and then now when you add into the equation nice flat screen TVs, we had the VCRs and we had MTV and all that. But see, now we got YouTube. So with the surround sound, the Bose surround sound, or whatever type of surround sound, the 100-inch flat screen TVs, you could instantly, like you said, at a click of a switch, here's YouTube, the latest live concert. And you can have a party at your house and you get as drunk as you want. You don't have to worry about getting into an accident, a DUI. Everything has changed. It,
That's right. And another thing, I'll get to these comments in just one second, folks. The one thing that when I saw things to start to change, as far as the band element. Now, this is just what I noticed. It might. I'm sure it's not like this everywhere. Every city and every town is different. But when we played at this, it was a wing. Uh, what was it called? It was like a sports bar, and they're famous for selling wings and food and beer and all this stuff.
mm-hmm.
And it was a grand opening, and we played that grand opening. It was a pretty big deal, and we had the assistant manager and the manager of the establishment come to the drummer's house he lived in a really nice neighborhood. So we practiced in his garage. So the manager and the assistant manager came and watched our first set. So it was like our audition for these people, right?
Yeah.
And we was like, man, if we can get this gig, that'll be really good for us, man. It'd be, it'll hopefully start the ball rolling, for local stuff,
Right.
And so they came and they watched it, and when they came in there and we started, and we practiced this band that I was in there. It wasn't none of this fly by night bullshit. We were the real deal. I mean, we were practicing twice a week. We practiced for a whole year before we even started getting the gig, because we wanted to be that tight, right? And then
Right. Yep.
so when these two managers came, we started in our first set, and I remember the very first song is "I Go Blind" by Hootie and the Blowfish. That was the first song in the first set, and we played all kind of different stuff. Eric Clapton, top 40s, 70s, and 80s is what we did. And they come in there and we played like the first 5 songs of our first set. And those guys were standing there. And the one thing I always look for is either their head bobbing,
Yep.
or their foot tapping. If I see that, then I know we got them. And both of those guys were doing this. They were like, yeah, man. They're looking at each other, and and we got done, and they called the drummer outside because we was at his house. They called him outside, and they left. The drummer come back in and said, hey, we got the gig. This is when I started to see things change. We decided on amount of money, whatever amount of money it was. I can't remember what it is now. It was so long ago. Hey, Shifty, how you doing, man? And so, but we should have had it in writing, but we didn't. It was like we shook hands on it, which was the first mistake. And so we go and play the gig. It was great. It was packed. But right when we got done with the gig, right when we were tearing our stuff down, you know what they did? The house DJ hopped up there and started playing music while we were trying to break everything down. So it's like around here anyway, it seems like to me that they would rather have a DJ than a band.
Oh yeah.
Because I guess it's just less stuff to worry with. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy.
Here's another thing. What you just said is so true. And I want to say Shifty and Jim Guidry again, everyone again, hi, how's it going, guys? A club owner, see, now they got all this overhead and people not going out like they used to do. So it's easy to pay 1 or 2 people a couple $100 than a whole band. So what I noticed started shifting is you go into these places, and all of a sudden the stages started to shrink. And then all of a sudden pictures got replaced by flat screen TVs. Now it's a sports bar. So you're going to get more people come out to a sports bar. This is how bad things have gotten. Okay. A friend of mine went on the Guitar Gods tour. This was a couple years ago, about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. The Guitar Gods tour was Yngwie Malmsteen, I think it was Bumblefoot, Gary Howie, a few other people. So my friend that went on tour, he was the opening act. His slot was 20 minutes, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. Usually 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, the majority of people, if they don't call in sick, they're on their way home from work. One of the places that they pulled up with the Stanley Cup was playing. So it was a huge arena / sports bar. There were more, he tells me there were more people watching the Stanley Cup than watching Yngwie play his set.
Ain't that something, man? Things have changed so much.
It changed, man.
It has changed so much. Let me pause right there if you don't mind.
Yep. No.
Mr. Dave. We got let's see. Let me back up for a second here.
I'm gonna switch guitars real quick, Joe. I'll be right back.
Okay, buddy. Okay. Jim Guidry had that last comment already, said the Guitar Center where he is really small. R2R3 comments, most of the time I do Guitar Center online. That's cool, man. Blackie says the good old days. Dave talking about Guitar Center, walking in there and seeing all that cool stuff. Yeah. R2 chimes in and says, I miss those days. Jim says he agrees with R2 and Blackie. Jim Guidry also comments, the older I get, the more convenience is great. I agree 100%. That's the truth, man. That is the truth. R2 chimes in with another comment. He says, my original bandmates were dedicated to playing shows. Then Nirvana took over the airwaves in those days. And boy, things changed for everybody then.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Shifty says hello. Vintage Sounds. Jamie's in there. Hey, Jamie, what's going on, man?
Hey,
Thank you for
Vintage
being here.
Sound, what's happening?
Thank you for being here, man. Let's see. Shifty says he's doing excellent. He's seen Tool and Florence and The Machine this week. Wow, cool, man.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Shifty says he loves the stories. Thanks, man. We just changing things up here on this channel for tonight. Hopefully I'll be able to go live tomorrow night with a live jam. I hope.
Yeah.
We got to go to a birthday party tomorrow, so I don't know how it's going to play out, but hopefully we can tomorrow. But y'all let us know, how do you like this? Do you like the Dave and Joe show so far? Do you like it? Because this is something we're seriously thinking about, right, Dave?
Yeah, that's right, man. This is a long time coming.
We've been talking about this for quite some time.
Yeah.
And so y'all, let us know.
Yes, I'm sorry about that, Joe. You know what it is? It's hanging with good friends, man, and that's what I love about this platform. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, man. Let's see. So I think we're caught up on the and see, that's one thing I like to say that I really try to do on this channel. I try to communicate with the chat. And let me tell you a quick story. Dave, you know this story already. Jim Guidry, you know this story, but I'm just going to touch on it. It's just an example. Now, this one YouTuber I was watching earlier in the week, he's got a big channel. He went live from his buddy's apartment. Okay. And I was subscribed to his channel and all that stuff. And he lives out in Hollywood. He's probably about 35 years old, 35, 36. And he always has real interesting stuff, content, and he vlogs every day. I don't know what he does to make a living. I have no idea. That's beside the point, whatever. And so I just happened to catch him live, and he was, every once in a while, he'll talk about guitars and music and different groups and stuff. And I always thought it was pretty interesting. So he was live. This was like, I don't know, this past Tuesday night, he was live. I popped in there and said, oh, man. And I said, I'm going to give him a super chat. Now, the super chat is strictly up to the individual, the viewer, the person watching, right? Nobody has to do anything. That's just there if that person wants to do it. So at that moment in time, nobody was super chatting this creator anything. And I said, well, I'll super chat him $10. I went in there and typed out. Now, when you do a super chat, you're allowed so many characters. I think it's 200 characters. So my personal opinion, I said, well, if I'm paying or giving a donation, whatever you want, a tip, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to type in a comment because I'm paying for it, right? So that's one good way to get your comment read. If it's a busy chat. He had like 250 people in there at the time, but nobody was super chatting at that moment. So I did the super chat, $10, and I typed out, hey man, one of my favorite guitars to play is the Wolfgang Special, EVH Wolfgang Special. And he looked away when I sent the super chat. He looked away for a second, and then when he looked back, it was right there. My super chat was right there. It was highlighted in yellow because when you do, I think, $10, the color of that comment is yellow. He looked right at it, and he didn't acknowledge the comment. He didn't say anything. Didn't say thank you, kiss my ass, nothing. And man, and then 2 minutes later, this lady super chatted $30, and he right away, oh, thank you, Linda. Thank you for that so much. Now, when you do a super chat, you can see it at the top of the screen. To people who leave a super chat, you can see that moniker up there. And so I know he saw it. And that guy didn't even acknowledge that or nothing. And so that really was discouraging for me. So I unsubscribed from his channel. That's a good way to lose people, man. If you can't treat your audience with respect, because they don't have to be there. They could be doing something else. And, that's one of the things I really try to do. I try to communicate with the people who are here, who take the time to be here, because to me, that means a lot,
Yeah.
That's what I think,
You do a great job of it too, Joe. You really do. You know,
Well, thanks,
and
man.
well, you're welcome. And I agree. I mean, what you're starting to see is people. This is how you could tell experience. Experienced people know how to control an ego. They don't let it get to their heads. I mean, it's nice to get compliments. It really is. You know, you work hard for it and that, but it's when they go over and all of a sudden they devalue people.
Oh
And you
yeah,
know,
they look down on them a little bit.
they look
Yeah,
down on them, and that's why I call those people the growth chokers. Then you know their next
yeah,
strategy is
yeah.
they shove you aside. They don't say hi to you. They devalue anything that you got to say. Then they'll start talking about things that well, it must be so hot where you're at, blah blah blah, and it's like as hot as it get is 85 degrees. And then, but these are people that are looking for advice now. Okay, and I try to tell them, hey, watch. You know, when it gets humid, this is what you got to watch out for. But no, don't take my advice, and that's fine. They don't have to take my advice. But then they start crying like babies when stuff falls apart, and they're listening to somebody that has maybe 2 months of experience, and we've already seen good people just get off of YouTube because of all this crap. You
Oh
know,
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
and honestly, well, okay, the situation that goes on with the copyrights, I really wish these people would just let people be, because you said it best, Joe. All they're going to do is allow the music to die. It's
Uh,
people like us that keep the music going. And you know damn well back in the day they were doing covers too. But
Oh
see what has
yeah.
happened. Yeah, see what's happened. And I know people say, well, no, Dave, they embraced the industry embraced the internet. No, they didn't. They played catch up too late, because this is what happened. They probably laughed at it, because if they would have embraced it, you would still have record stores and CD stores. Now I got to grab the cat because the cat wants
Man,
it.
I
You know
miss
what I
those
mean?
days. Oh
I
yeah,
miss those
I
days
miss
too.
those days, man. I used to
and
love
and,
doing
and,
that. Yeah.
and think about it. Okay, so you could go and you could buy we could buy guitars online, right? But we could
Right.
also still go to a store and buy guitars. But
Correct.
to see what they did is they turned the other cheek, and they figure, well, YouTube, or the internet, because YouTube really wasn't out yet, it'll be a flash in the pan. If they were smart, they would say, aha, now we got something. We're going to make digital downloading, but you got to buy it. Or you could go to the store and you could buy it. So one way or another, we're going to always have money coming in. But they didn't do that. And now they're playing catch up. So now they run all over the place, and they are hitting the panic button. And if you, God forbid, if you're doing a cover, they shut you down. Now, today, what Deb did is we renamed our music company. Now it's called Dave Byron LLC. It was Transacoustic Productions up in Illinois through all the 20 years. But this is what you got to watch out for when you incorporate yourself and do anything as a business. You get like a federal and a state tax ID number.
Right.
So now they know you're for profit. So this is why, me personally, I stopped putting covers up, because I've already got a couple of things, and I know what the next one's going to be. I don't know if you guys seen this YouTube video recently where they said, if you want to go up and do covers, go ahead. But then the closing of their little ad, they said what'll happen is, if you get X amount of strikes, we could suspend you from YouTube, and you're going to lose all your subscribers and all your views. Now, they did not say we're going to subscribe you for a month or 2 months. It could be indefinite.
Yeah.
So that's why I figure, okay, I'm not going to do this. But I really think it's unfair, because I love watching when you do covers and all these other people do covers. I really like watching that.
Well,
So why the hell they want to be a
that's
killjoy?
that's what I grew up listening to, and that's what
Yeah.
a lot of those songs is what made me want to play guitar. I mean, it
Hmm.
wasn't just Van Halen. There was a lot of ZZ Top, Journey, all those cool songs of that generation is what I grew up listening to. That was my youth. Going to high school, and you go on a date with a girl, and that one song comes
Yeah.
on, and you remember, and you can hear that song that puts you right back in that moment in your mind, like, damn, I remember what I was doing on that, and but there's a hey, big shout out to my son Nathan Hughes is in the chat. Thank you for being
Hey,
here, son.
Nathan, what's happening, man?
That's my boy. And um, Spanky McAllister, hey man, how are you doing? Thank you for being here.
Spanky, what's up, buddy?
Yes, the story I told about the YouTuber that just ignored the super chat. Yeah, R2 says that's bogus, Joe. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. Blackie says, yeah, that's crazy. My son says Shaft would say, damn right. Yeah, that's what
Damn right.
yeah. And Vintage Sounds, Joe is the best storyteller. Thank you, Jamie. I'm not. I appreciate the comment. Very nice. Let's see here. Vintage Vintage wants to know what kind of guitar you got, Dave. If you can just hang on just 1 second. If you can just hang on just 1 second.
Yep.
Jim Guidry says, Joe, do you remember Flash in the Pan? I do. That was one of the first songs that Jim Guidry and I wrote and we recorded. And that was before we even were on YouTube. That was one of our very first singles. It was called Flash in the Pan. Jim played drums on it. Absolutely. My son says half the people on YouTube do covers. That's true. And here's the trick. There are certain groups. There are certain groups that are what they call blockers. So you have to be careful. There's probably about half a dozen that I can think of off the top of my head. So a lot of the 80s groups won't block you. You won't get in any trouble. We already know that because I do it all the time. You know, and I've had people ask me this. I couldn't tell you how many times. If I had a dollar for every time somebody asked me this, do you get a notification from YouTube? Do you get a notification from YouTube every time you do these songs? The answer is yes, but it's not a copyright strike. It's just a notification of saying you're not going to make anything off of this unless it's eligible for revenue sharing, which sometimes it is, but that's not even worth my trouble. You're talking like half a cent, you know, or something like that. And but that doesn't bother me because those songs aren't mine. I'm not doing it to try to make money. I'm doing it because I love to play the songs and it feels good to play. That's what a real musician wants to do. They want to play. It's not about, well, let me see how many views I can get and see if I can make any money. I don't make jack squat from YouTube, man. I do this for fun, you know? And
yeah, you're doing it for the love of it.
But I do get soon as the video uploads on my channel, it doesn't matter. And I'll know if it's been blocked. You know, there was a Prince song that I actually went to the trouble of making the video, recording it. But see, I didn't know if it was going to be blocked until I went to upload the video. You don't know that until you upload it. And then when I uploaded it, I got a notification from Google right away. It said, this video has been blocked worldwide. You know what song it was? It was Let's Go Crazy from Purple Rain, 1984. I love that song. I love that song. I sit there and worked on it. Now, was it note for note perfect? Of course not. It was just my own little take on it. But the backing track is I guess that one song for some reason, YouTube said, nope, that's blocked. There's some other Prince songs I've done that were fine. Little Red Corvette, Purple Rain, Never Could Take the Place of Your Man. Those are 3 Prince songs that I've done. If you go back on this channel, you can see that where it says my tribute to Prince. But my favorite song by him is Purple Rain. I've done that song on here quite a few times because I love that song. I love to play it. That song speaks a lot to me, you know, as a guitar player and as a part of, like I said, music can take you back to a point in your youth. And it takes me back because I remember when that movie came out on cable. I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it on cable, and I put a blank VCR tape in the VCR and recorded it off HBO or whatever it was. And then I got the soundtrack, the cassette, put it in my little jam box. And I went up to my room and I cut all the lights off, but the moonlight was shining through the window. So I pulled the blinds up. The moonlight was shining through, and behind me I could see my shadow on the wall. So I was holding the tennis racket while Purple Rain was playing, and I acted like I was playing. I ain't had a guitar yet, but that's just that's an example of what I'm saying. Yeah. That song means that much to me. It's just that important. But
it's the memories, Joe.
It's the memories. Music is almost like a photograph. You know, when you look at a photograph, that's a frozen moment in time that you can look at. You can't go back to it, but you look at it and it just, you're like, I remember that. You know, and music is the same way, but yeah, you can do covers on YouTube. You just have to be careful which ones you pick. But if you upload a video, you'll get a notification from YouTube right away saying that if it's blocked, and you'll get a notification right away saying if you release this, it could be a copyright strike. That's what I've always noticed.
Yeah.
For me. Now I don't know about everybody else.
Now, if
Spanky makes a great one. I don't mean to interrupt you, Dave. I'm
oh,
sorry.
don't skip it.
Spanky makes a great, and this is true because I've done it. I can speak from my own experience. The Eagles do not allow covers. He is
Yep.
100% right.
I was going to make a comment on that too, Joe. This is how this is with the Eagles. There is an Eagles tribute band down here in Southwest Florida.
Oh, really?
They actually have to go to court because of live performance down here in Florida.
And
this is how bad. Yeah, this is how bad. When we just before we left Illinois, one of the last gigs we did, the club owner asked me if I had originals because a guy from BMI was sitting in a restaurant, and he's just ordering food and drinks and that, and he's complimenting how nice the club is, and oh, you got live entertainment. Oh, how nice it is. And then he starts asking her questions, and she's like, "What do you mean? It's my club." He said, "Well, if you're at a public place, you got to pay up." So I guess he showed her all his credentials.
Wow.
And she's like, "Uh-oh," you know. So they make their way. And now I've never met any of these people, but all the lifelong Floridians down here have been telling me. Brian Johnson from AC/DC lives in Fort Myers Beach. John Paul Jones's mom lives in Cape Coral, so he'll come to one of the places in Cape Coral. Steve Miller comes down here and hangs out. There's a guy from the Planters. He plays at the West End. So all these people, they wander around. And one of the guys at Guitar Center told me that's why you don't really see a whole bunch of these type of tribute bands down here, because these people are down here and are actively playing in different bands. They put stuff together, but they're all playing their songs. So they don't want anybody performing any of it because it's their music. They want to be performing it.
Yeah, and that's sad.
It's crazy.
That's sad, man, because like I said, the fulfillment for me is playing these songs. Yeah, I can sit here and write my own songs. I've done that. And by the way, check out the Joe Wentz Project on iTunes or Google Play, and there's anywhere to check out any of my music. I have a new single that was released today, and it was called "To Live Again," and that was written for my sister-in-law who just came home from the hospital today.
Oh, great, man!
She had a double lung transplant. And she's been in the hospital for months, and she just got home today. So that song was for her. And so the fulfillment for me, I've never been one of those guys or guitar players, which when you look on YouTube, it makes you kind of sick to a degree. Not literally, but it makes you like, are you kidding me? You see kids that can play monstrous licks like it's nothing. And I'm like, but there's still something missing there. There's still something missing. I mean, yeah, that's impressive. Don't get me wrong. But you have to be able to relate to an audience. You have to be able to come across in a certain fashion. I'm not saying that all of them don't, but there's just something to me, even today, when I try to learn, even if it's a classic rock song or 80s song.
Yeah.
And I learn it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's, I'm still one of these old school guys that tries to learn by ear. A lot of times that doesn't work. A lot of times that doesn't work. I'll go on Carl Brown's site, Guitar 365, and you can learn it. And I'm like, I'll sit and I tell myself, why am I wasting my time when I can just go on Carl Brown's site and learn this song and be done with it? And that's usually what I'll do. And I'm like, okay, that's how you play that part. It could be the simplest thing. Maybe I'm just an old dinosaur, but when I get that down and I do a cover song or play with a backing track, man, it's like this euphorical thing that comes over me. It's this fix, this high that I get that I can't know. Your average person, normal person ain't going to understand that. They look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? You taking LSD? I'm like, no, man. I learned how to do this song, and they're like, okay, that's good. That's good. Call me next week. But I know the musician, you and everybody else in here, they get that. They understand that,
Absolutely.
and it's like, yeah, man, I learned how to play such and such, and it makes you feel good because you have a little sense of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
But 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 you are the one that did that. Nobody
Right.
else. You did it, and
That's what makes it special.
it doesn't have to be. For me, I speak for me. It doesn't have to be 100% note for note. Now, if you're in a tribute band, that's a different story. You gotta be on your game in a tribute band because people are expecting everything to be note
Yeah.
for note, note for note. But if you're in a in a top 40 band, you're with a group of guys, or if you're just playing by yourself like what we do, it's good enough.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
good enough because I still have a good time. I still have a great time.
Oh, absolutely, Joe. Joe, I wanted to Vintage Sound asked me if I've ever gotten down to the Florida Keys. We've got a gig down there at the end of June. We'll be down in the Florida Keys. And I want to say also hi to Ed Dana. And also, real quick, if you don't mind, this guitar, it is a USA made 1988 Epiphone. It's called the Spotlight, but it got dubbed the Lawsuit guitar. It is a neck through series, real smooth neck to heel, but it got dubbed the Lawsuit guitar because it obviously looks real close to a Paul Reed Smith.
It sure does. Yeah.
And I only paid like what, maybe $630 for it. It's in
Now,
mint condition.
when did you get that?
We got this about it almost a year and a half. We've been down here a little over a year and a half. I think we got this in February of 2018.
Oh, so you haven't
Yeah.
had it that long. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've had a couple of people down here said, "Oh, I wouldn't if would you ask me, would you trade it in for a Paul Reed Smith core guitar, USA made?" I told them no, and they says, "You got to be crazy." I says, "No, you don't understand. This is rare because you can't make these anymore."
That's right. That's right.
So the Paul Reed Smith I could find anywhere. This I won't find
That's
because
right.
that's it. So you see, the thing is, I'm not knocking it, but I find value in things that really have value. I don't care who played it or who didn't play it, but if it's a specific model that is discontinued, or another good example, I have a catalog of a guitar. It's built by Antonio Torres. It's a classical guitar made in Spain, actually dated back to 1864. So do you know how old that guitar is? And they only want 14 grand for it. So to me, I know, right? It's still a lot of money. But when I would go to these vintage guitar shows and they're showing a 1960s or 1957 Les Paul Black Beauty, the triple pickups or whatever it is, and the guy wanted $110,000, that's nice. But it's only a 1957 or 1958 or whatever the hell it is. This thing goes back to 1865. So, there's certain things that I see a little bit more value than just some rock star that stroked the strings a couple of times, and I don't knock it, but there just seems to be, how can I say, not enough value in what truly is valuable anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, for instance, you made a great point about when Eddie Van Halen came out with all his guitars, the striped guitars, and I think there's a short run of the USA model ones. There's like core ones that only doctors and lawyers could afford.
Yes,
they're real.
The Charvel series too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's other ones that, I know what you're saying.
They're really expensive. I mean, they're almost like what, almost about 11 grand or something.
Yes.
Now here's the reality. If you go back to that exact guitar that Eddie Van Halen made into the Frankenstein guitar, and that exact guitar, I think it was like a cheap Strat copy. So really, as far as the materials, you go to a pawn shop and buy the same thing. You buy a Squire, and I'm not knocking it, but this is what I mean. I don't see value in spending, taking a second mortgage out of your house and all this other crap and buying this stuff that's so ridiculously expensive.
I can do the same thing on a $500 guitar that guy's
exactly
$15,000 guitar.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It's almost laughable, But
yeah, hey, that's somebody that's got more money than sense, Dave.
That's right.
Somebody that's throwing their weight around. Let me get back to the chat real quick. I don't want to ignore the people in the chat. First of all, is there anything you'd like to address in the chat, Dave? Is there anything
Well,
in
you know what? I
particular?
wanted also to say hi to Ed Dana, and and again, JJ Collins. Yeah, $50 body and a $75 neck, and they let's see, and they were Chevelle Factory seconds. Yeah, JJ Collins.
JJ, hey man, JJ
Yep.
Collins, thank you. Uh, Shifty makes a comment. I thought this was interesting. He says this type of broadcast with guys like you and other road dogs could be a golden idea. Past gig stories, not from rock stars, are about the only untapped market in podcasting and video casting. Thank you, Shifty.
Well,
That's very
thanks.
cool, man. Thank you very much. My son says I gave a cheap plug for my music. He said you gave a cheap plug, Dad. Yes, it was a cheap plug. I'm sorry, but I got to get the word out there. You know, got to get
Yeah,
it out
man.
there. Robert Clark, hey, how are you? He makes a statement, and it's interesting. You know, let's see. He says, since all these poor musicians with talent are out getting hit by BMI and YouTube, etc., I'm making a damn stand. All the rappers crap sampled actual music for them to rip apart needs to hit too. Yeah, well,
Yep.
there you go. I mean, you know, he has a
I
point.
agree.
He has
Yeah.
a point. I can't argue that. You know, Vintage Sounds. Jamie says, Dave, do you ever get down to the Florida Keys?
No, but that's what I mean. Vintage Sounds. We have a gig the end of June. We'll be down in the Florida Keys.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now that you and
It's me
uh,
and Deb. Yeah.
you and
That
Deb.
is good.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. It looks like Ed Dana's also in. Ed, what is happening? And he's definitely got some stories too.
yeah. Ed Dana says, hey, Dave
Yeah.
Byron. Let's see, Robert Clark. That's all the hippity flop. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, man. Vintage Sounds. Hey, Joe, that was a great song. Thank you, Jamie, man. To Live Again for my sister in law. Yes, thank you, man. Mr. Clark says his rant's over now. Okay, cool. Yes, Mr. Collins is in there. Let's see. Everybody's saying hate it. My son makes a statement. I never understood why someone would want to play like someone note for note. Yeah, it's cool if you can do that, but what part of that shows who you are exact as a musician? That's there you go. I agree. I always like to put my own little spin on something, not too
Yep.
dramatically, but you know that's just how I've always been. And then it kind of it doesn't make it yours because you're doing somebody else's music, but it you kind of leave a part of you on the table. You see what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And let's see. Uh, Shifty says that's why Jimmy Page is the best. Get the riffs down, go off into tangents. That's how you make 3.5 hour show interesting. There you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you go watch these concerts and then there's only like it's a 2 hour show and there's maybe like, I don't know, 10 songs, but they'll expand on it. And that's where the magic is, the improvisation. That's where that magic is. And Ed Dana, he had something up a couple of days ago about, and just like what you also said too, Joe, you could be the fastest gun in the West and do all this fancy stuff, but if you can't play songs and can't play music, that's the element that's missing.
Yeah, you have to be able. This is just from my point of view. Yes, it's cool to play like Paul Gilbert, Steve Vai, Ingve. That's a cool thing to have. But if you can't play with a little bit of soul,
Yep.
a little bit of emotion, a little bit of passion, then it's all for nothing. You just sound like a typewriter. You know, it's
Yep.
just it's bland.
You
You
know,
know,
Joe, sorry about that, buddy.
no, go ahead.
I know I could take all what I've done in the past, all those next levels. There on my other channel, there's a video I did. I'm coming out of one of my original songs and I go into the Flight of the Bumblebee on the acoustic guitar. And it's like supersonic fast. And that's cool. But without, that's just like you said, without that soulness, without that feel, it just sounds like a typewriter. At what point, how fast do you want to get? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's a, and I have seen some cases. Now, this is just what I've seen. A lot of people when they go to, and I actually can speak from experience. I was at my son's house. This was, I don't know, about a year or two ago. And I was over there and we were jamming, and my son had a buddy come over. And I said, well, let's all three just jam on like a blues thing, blues in E, and we'll just trade off. You know how you do, man. We'll just trade off doing stuff and, go around the table and come back around and just have fun. So I started doing just a basic blues, whatever. You go to A and then B and come back around or whatever. And so I'm doing it, and my son kicks it off. He starts doing his solo stuff, and he goes back into the rhythm. I go into a little thing, and then the other gentleman that was there, the young man that was there, he could play some blistering licks. It was really impressive. But then when it come to far as the rhythm and the timing of all that, he was lost, man. He was lost, and he was like, "What are we doing again?" And I would show him, and it's basic stuff. It's not it's not real intricate, right? And
exactly.
It just kind of the point I'm making is he's concentrated a lot more on trying to concentrate on some show off kind of licks, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to balance the table out. You have to, work on your rhythm and stuff like that, which your syncopated rhythm or whatever is incredible. How you do that with the I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I was like, how in the hell is he doing that?
Thanks, Joe. It's what helped me a lot is growing up in the area I grew up. I was always exposed to the blues clubs, the jazz clubs. Then out in the suburbs was metal, and I mean the guy that really made me rethink playing was when I heard jazz fusion guitarist Al Di Meola, because he had all those elements and he still sounded musical. Right. He could play something slow and it's enjoyable. And then I hear guys like Lefty Diz, who used to be a Chicago blues guitarist, and Lonnie Brooks and all these other people, and they would just make one note sing.
Oh God, yeah.
Like B.B. King, one note sings.
Yes. Sean Zimmerman, hey man, thank you for being here. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm trying to balance out the chat and our conversation. Bro. I'm not trying to take nothing away from what you're saying.
You're all right, man.
Nathan, my son Nathan Hughes says, this is very interesting. I have a SRV signature Strat, and he just got that, Dave, like a month ago.
That's a nice one.
The Stevie Ray Vaughan Fender. I used to have the same guitar, and I sold it like an idiot. He says, I have a SRV signature model. When I plug it up, I don't sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. The guitar doesn't make the man or woman in Nita Strauss's case. Yeah, that's right. It's the player. It doesn't matter. Like you were just saying, some of these guys that pay all this exorbitant amount of money for a certain guitar, which is fine if you got the money and you can afford to do that. Hey, man, go for it. But most of the guitars you'll see here in my little small arsenal range from, $300 to $700.
Yeah,
that's the price range, not including the Wolfgang specials. Those two were $1,000, but still usually everything's between $3,000 and $7,000. And you know what? I'm fine with that because those guitars play great. They play great for me, and
exactly. You're the one playing, so you're the one that's got to be happy with it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at a purple OLP right there. I got that thing brand new. And my son's in here. He can vouch for it. I got it from AMS years and years and years ago. Brand new, $199. I still have that. I still have that guitar today. And as time went by, I learned how to do a setup. And when I set it up and got everything, oh man, it was like a brand new guitar. Very important thing to learn how to do, folks. If you don't know how to do a basic setup, getting your intonation adjusted and checking string height and all that stuff. Learn how to do that. It'll turn your average guitar or your average playing guitar into a very well playing guitar. It makes that much of a difference. It's incredible how much of a difference that makes.
It's like night and day, man. It's like you said, It's a brand new guitar. You won't want to put it down.
That's right. R2 says, I'm listening, fellas. I'm helping my wife with groceries. That's fun, right? That's all good, R2. I appreciate you sticking in there, man, and listening. Thank you very much. Ed says he's got stories. That's cool. Let's see. He also says, I feel alone on YouTube because most of you folks seem to be in your 40s. I am. I'm in my 40s. Yep. That's almost 50. So let's see. Jim Guidry. If nobody's heard Jim Guidry stuff, and he makes a perfect comment.
Oh, yeah.
Rhythm is the foundation, and he is a rhythm monster. Man, he is absolutely amazing.
Did you hear what he's done with the Beat Buddy pedal lately?
Yes.
That was badass, man.
What he's doing is Jim. To me, Jim is like a mad scientist. He goes into his music room, like his little lab, scientific lab, and he'll tell me, he goes, well, I'm going to go work on something. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll be riding down the road, and he'll send it to me through WhatsApp or whatever on my phone. He says, check this out, man. Tell me what you think. I don't think I like it too much. And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is incredible. Are you going to put this up? I don't know. It's just an idea. I'm like, an idea? It's a
yeah.
But he has all that drum stuff worked out and everything, and it blows my mind. I'm telling you, it blows my mind. It's really impressive, man.
And you know what? The sound that he gets out of his Line 6 Pod HD 500.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what. The Helix. It's great. For $1,500, it better be great. But I'll tell you what, there's certain things that I know I've never seen that Helix do that Pod HD 500 does. You know what I mean? So if I'm already got $500, why do I want to save up another $1,000? I could grab that and I could start doing a lot more, because there's some hidden secrets within that pod that Jim's got.
He's had that because I've known Jim for 12 years or so. Jim, how long you had that? You've had that. I want to say I remember when he got that. He's had it for quite some time. Let's see. Okay, JJ Collins. Let's see. Let me back up. I'm sorry, folks. Nathan, my son, says, fun fact, Michelangelo's big inspiration when he went to solo was the style of the great Al Di Meola. There you go, Rockin' Dave. How about that? That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, see, Di Meola came out playing like that, like
in the 70s, right?
Yeah. And think about it. You did not have high gain amps.
No.
So, to have that kind of a clean picking attack and also on the acoustic. If you ever heard the album Friday Night in San Francisco, it's all acoustic live.
Yeah.
And you want to hear some supersonic shredding, man. I've seen him and Paco de Lucia in 1983. And we were front row, first balcony. And I'll tell you what, at the end of that concert, you did one of two things. You either quit or you were up all night practicing, man.
Yeah, his playing, he's amazing.
Crap.
You're talking about a whole different level of guitar player right there, man. JJ Collins says, in today's age, the $300 to $700 price point is perfect for excellently made instruments. I can hardly say that. Years ago, I had many guitars that were $3,000 plus. Never again will I pay that type of money. There you go, Rockin' Dave. There's another example from somebody who knows what they're talking about. He says it's very rare that I pay over $1,000. Yeah, there you go. And he just got the what you're holding right now, Dave. It's Epiphone, correct? Epiphone, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Mr. Collins recently got the Epiphone Peter Frampton signature model, and
that's nice.
It looks amazing. I mean, that guitar is gorgeous, man. And I believe it came with a case. I believe.
I'm going to tell you guys something real quick. I got an Epiphone white Les Paul studio model. Okay.
Yes.
And then we got our Les Paul Standard, our Gibson. And there are certain Epiphones that will outlast tuning wise more than the Gibsons.
Oh yeah, the Epiphones, for my dollar, my Epiphones, I love them. I mean,
Yep.
they are phenomenal. My son makes another comment. I got to touch on this day. I think you'd enjoy this. He says, the best day of my young life was when my dad let me play hooky from school, and we went and got 2 OLP guitars from Guitar Center in Charlotte.
Nice.
We were, yeah, I went and told him, I said, "You're not going to school today." And he's like, "I'm not." I said, "No." And I went and we took a ride to Guitar Center, and I got a brown OLP, and I got him one too. Same color. Same
Nice.
color. Yeah. Yeah. Sure enough, man. Let's see. Shifty. Did you see that? He says, I like my tellies like I like my women. Mexican. Hey, man. To each his own, brother. I don't have nothing wrong with that. Ed Dana says, my main made in Mexican Strat was probably no more than $400 new. There you go. That's
Yep.
That's awesome. Jim Guidry says, thanks, Joe and Dave. Yes, sir. Absolutely, Jimbo.
Absolutely, man.
Not a problem. Nathan says, one of the best playing guitars I own is a J. Tercer JT200 Les Paul knockoff with Seymour Duncan's. $400 total. Another great one is a Squier John 5 Telecaster, stock, $350. That guitar is amazing. I went over and played it. The John 5 Squier Fender Tele.
Nice.
I don't know if anybody have seen those, but man, that is for $350. He got a steal, and he got that brand new too. I think he got it off Reverb or something. I think is that right, son? Didn't you like make a bid on it or something? And he got it.
Wow, yeah. That's
okay,
great.
Jim said he's had that. What was it? What was that effects thing he's got? He said he's had
Pod HD 500.
Yeah, he said he's had it for. He says 4 years, I think. Okay, so you've had it for a while. Okay. Nathan Hughes, Michelangelo's heard that, and the department store that his mother worked and said, "That's the style I want to play." Oh, Michelangelo heard what's his name's music in the department store. What was his name? What was that guy you just said? Al Di Meola.
Oh, yeah. Al Di Meola. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Vintage Sounds. Jamie says, "Hey Joe, I'm listening to the new Sammy Hagar Circle album. Did you hear it yet?" I have not heard all of it yet. I've heard 1 or 2 songs, but that album is up there at the top of the charts, which is amazing. It is amazing, and they say that's the first album for Sammy Hagar, even though it's a group, it's not a solo thing. But for him, it's like the first time he's had a top charting album, and I couldn't tell you how long. And then I think that's amazing. If it wasn't for Sammy doing what he's doing, because music is not what it used to be, as we know. And Sammy is jamming with Michael Anthony and Jason Bonham on drums, Vic Johnson on guitar, and they're doing all this. They're doing shows right now, and man, what a great guy! I've never met the man, but he just seems like he's such a down to earth person, and what he's doing with his band, his friends, is amazing, and the music is great. And I'm just, for him to be, was he 71, 72?
He's up there
to be that age, and he's still singing like he's singing.
Oh yeah, because we went to his 50th birthday bash down in Cabo San Lucas. That was in 2005 when he turned 50.
Man,
so God. Yeah, he's great. Man.
Yeah, that's I think that's fantastic that album is up there, is up there like that. I think that is so cool, man. It kind of makes you wonder, and I have to give credit where credit is due. I heard this on Eddie Trunk's podcast, so I have to give credit to him. That's where I heard it. But Eddie Trunk made this comment. I'm going to paraphrase. I can't remember word for word, but I'll see what you think, Dave. Eddie Trunk said, Eddie Van Halen has have to be hearing about this new album and these songs they're doing live with the Circle. It makes you wonder, what is Eddie thinking? Is he thinking, should I try to get back with Sammy, or is he just done with that whole thing? What do you think, Dave?
You know, I think deep down he would probably say it wouldn't be a bad. Let's see what we could do. You know, because there's a reason why he approached Sammy Hagar in the first place. Because first of all, he knew Sammy could sing. I mean, I do love the David Lee Roth era, man. Hearing Eruption for the first time, I mean, come on, that blew everybody's mind. You know,
Oh yeah, it still blows
that
my
was,
mind today. You
oh
know?
yeah, today. I mean, he just changed guitar playing, you know. But him and David Lee Roth were always kind of going at it, you know. And I really think because we went to the 5150. Well, I think the very first Sammy Hagar.
That
It
was
was
5150. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
5150. The
Mhm.
people call it Van Hagar, you know. We
Yeah.
went to
Yeah.
that the very first concert that he did, that whole off of that album, and you could tell Eddie felt like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
And I think
He
what
felt rejuvenated.
yeah,
Yeah.
he felt rejuvenated, you know. And I think what the story was is that Sammy needed some time off. I think his wife was just having a kid, and he was trying to tell Eddie, hey, you know, just give me a little time, man. You know, I'm not quitting the band or anything. But you know, when you see, here's the thing with, let's say, a three-way partner split, you know, or a three-way partner. You get two people team up against, you know, it's two against one, and you know the Van Halen brothers. That's what I think. You know what happened. You
Yeah.
can almost read between the lines. You see, the thing is, when you're the majors, all these superstars, it's still a band. It is no different than all the local bands. They're good at butt heads. I don't care if you're in a, you know, $1 million recording studio or if you're in somebody's garage. It's still personalities. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But
And but I think Eddie would love to be part of that deep
I
down.
I think so too. I mean, I think there's a lot of resentment there because of
Hmm.
What Sammy said in his book. I don't know if you've listened or read his book. I've got the audio version of that book.
No,
Read
I
my
didn't hear that.
It's called Red, My Uncensored Life in Rock, and it is a very, very good book. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that he says what went on. Um, should all of that been disposed? I don't know.
You see, I don't know.
I think some of that should have been maybe kind of been held back some.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once something like that is out, especially in today's techno world, that it's out there forever.
It's out there forever,
It'll
Joe.
never go away. And
You
so
know,
I think that Eddie, I think deep down there's a part of Eddie that says, you know what, I'll never speak to that man again. And I heard Sammy
yeah.
Hagar say that on Lance Armstrong's podcast. What was it, last Sunday or last Monday? If y'all haven't checked that out, check it out. And Sammy even said that. He says
Yeah.
he'll probably never speak to me again because I threw him so far underneath the bus. He said, but I threw myself under the bus too. That's what he said. Now, who knows? I don't know. Things could change tomorrow. I don't know, but I would like to see. I'm not worried about if they get back together as a group. That's Sammy. He said himself he didn't want to do that, but I would like to see them. You know, all of them just be friends. You know, and make
Right.
peace. I would love to see that. Make peace, man. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, how many bands do you have now that have all the original members that are still living? Not many.
Not
And if
many. That's
and if
just it.
and if there are, they're starting to have bad health.
Yeah.
You know, I
That's
mean,
exactly.
they're
You
getting
know,
up
you
there.
see, Joe, and this kind of goes back to the cover bands and the tribute bands and this whole copyright thing. I really think that some of them should say, hey, wait a minute, you know, we're getting ready to kick the bucket, and these people are going to keep our music alive. So maybe we should kind of lighten up a little bit. You know what I mean?
You would think that. I mean, that goes again. Like, who was that said the Eagles don't allow nobody to cover their music in here earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and that's mainly from what I've heard. That's mainly because of Don Henley. Don Henley is the one
Yeah.
putting the lock on that, and it does, in my opinion, it does. Rick Beato said it on his channel. He said that after a period of time, it kills the music,
Yep.
and kids coming up today or whatever, they're not going to hear that music. You know, I mean,
No.
there's songs. Yeah, when I was young, and I'm just being fair and being honest. When I was, 13, 14, 15, I'd be riding with my father. We'd be going somewhere across town. We'd be in his pickup truck, and he'd have a cassette deck, and he'd have like uh, hits of the 50s in there, that doo-wop stuff, and all this playing, that was his era, right? And
Yep.
I'd be over there going, oh my God, what are we listening to? And then when I got a little older, that stuff grew on me because a lot of that was actually great music.
Yeah.
You're talking Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, of course, Elvis Presley,
Mm-hmm.
CCR, Bob Seger, all this stuff he would listen to. And I was like, man, that stuff is actually pretty good. So when I got older, I would try to learn some of these songs, and then I'd try to play them for my father.
Exactly. And you know what, Joe? Everything comes from somewhere. This is how everything starts to evolve. I don't know if anyone in the chat, I bet you Ed Dana probably has heard about this, and a few of our older friends out here. I remember seeing an article in the old Guitar World or Guitar Player magazine where I think Keith Richards was being interviewed. And he said in the early days of the Rolling Stones, they had to get used to the electric bass guitar. So Charlie Watts had to get used to it because they were playing a lot of upright bass. So to have that bass to actually sustain a note, because now it's being plugged in, it started to change things. And just like you coming out of the 50s and into the 60s, every style of music is a carryover and it starts to help develop. But if they go ahead and just say, no one is going to play my music ever, 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 that's it, you're done, it's gonna die. And then everyone is going to be rapping.
Yeah, it will I mean, maybe not right away, but eventually that's what's going to happen. It's get suffocated, Let me check the chat real quick,
Yeah.
Mr. Dave, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, go ahead, my friend. No.
My son, Nathan, he commented on his John 5 telly, asked him if he made a lower bid. He said, yes, it was $400 new, and he made an offer for $350, and the seller accepted that offer. Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Sweet.
Shifty makes a comment. Bought a dinged up 2007 Mexican Telly, $240. Stripped it, cherry burst painted it, putting a push button volume knob for out of phase, taking a Seymour Duncan mini humbucker in the neck and putting it in the neck. That's awesome, man. Wow. Jim Guidry said, yes, he saw the first Van Halen concert. The first show was in his hometown in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you
And,
saw the first one, man.
Yeah, he's told me stories about that. And that was, and Sammy Hagar said that in his book. He said their first show was in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I was like, wow. So Jim was there, and
Sweet.
that is cool. Back on the, story about Van Halen we was talking about a minute ago, Mr. Collins, JJ Collins comments and says, EVH needs to wise up. Word is that David Lee Roth is going to do a show, Residence, in Vegas. EVH needs to call Sammy and do it tour one last time. I would personally love to see it. I don't know what's going to happen, but the last time, I don't know, Rock and Dave, if you're familiar with this, but I remember the last time David Lee Roth tried to do a thing in Vegas, it was a flop. It didn't turn out.
I heard about that. Yeah.
It didn't turn out that well. He's just not that big of a draw anymore.
No, he's not Jay-Z.
He's not. I mean, it's just not. My son Nathan Hughes says, I love David Lee Roth. He was a terrific frontman, not a terrific singer, although certain songs do fit his voice really well. On his Diamond Dave album, he did a cover of Soul Kitchen by The Doors. I remember that, and I remember you told me, son, that was actually good, that you liked it, that it turned out good. Vintage Sounds. How about the DLR band with the Steve Vai and Van Halen with Sammy and Mike on tour? That would, there was talk about them getting back together, the David Lee Roth band with Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan and Greg Bissonette. There was talk about that. For some reason, that didn't develop. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Did you ever see that tour when they first came out?
No, I didn't see it. But when I was in high school, when he first made that band with Steve Vai, their first album, Eat 'Em and Smile, which was fantastic, by the way. I remember I was in, let's see, that was 86, 87. So I was in 11th grade or something, 10th or 11th grade. And 5150 it came out. And I remember David Lee Roth was coming to Charlotte for that tour. And my cousin Jeff went to that show. And I didn't get to go see it, but he went and he said it was incredible. And the beauty of YouTube, Nowadays, you can go back and watch. You can go back and watch some of that concert. You know, the video footage isn't that great, but I saw there's one part where Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan do solos together on stage during that tour, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was just
we've seen that concert. It was 86. Yeah. But the first time I seen Billy Sheehan was in '85 at the Aragon Brawl Room. If R2R3, he'll know where the Aragon Brawl Room is. And his band Talus opened up for Yngwie Malmsteen. And when Billy came out, he came out ripping, man. It was like, oh man, bring it on. It was badass.
Yeah, it was awesome. R2R3 says a recent photo of Eddie Van Halen don't look good. I think Eddie is not healthy. Well, I hope he is healthy. I hope he's okay. Ed Dana says ZZ Top. Henley is a dick. Ed Dana says, and he loves Sha Na Na. He also says the Stones played with Muddy Waters and didn't know what a capo was. Yeah, ain't that something? That's crazy.
You know, back in Chicago, and I think maybe R2R3 will know, at the Kingston Mines Blues Club. You know, now I never seen him there. We'd have the Monday night jam session. I was only 19. They'd let me play, but the cops was watching this place, so I had to leave when I was done with the jam session because I was underage. But people would tell me, man, Dave, you should have been here last Friday because we're there playing, and we happened to look, and a guy looked just like Mick Jagger. And guess what? It was Mick Jagger because they used to go down there. All the blues clubs, man. So I'd miss out on all that, though.
Speaking of Mick Jagger, I think he had a heart procedure not long ago.
Yeah, he did.
He is. I saw on Instagram a week or two ago. He is. What is he? Is he 75? 75, and he was like in a dance studio, and he was doing his routine, and he was jumping around and dancing like he was 25 years old, man. And
incredible.
I was like, unbelievable. I was like, yeah, man, you go, Mick. I thought that was incredible. That was incredible. Let's see. Denny Allen. Hey, man, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. He says, Henry Gross from Sha Na Na did the song Shannon. I like that song. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. I remember watching that, the Sha Na Na show when I was a little kid. I remember watching that on TV. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember watching that a lot, man. And then watching Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley and all that cool stuff. Man, I'm old.
All in the family in Sanford.
Yeah. You won't see stuff like that nowadays. Woo.
Oh no!
Oh boy, that'll be canceled before it even hits the box. Lucretia, girl. It'll be gone, boy. Fix me a fish sandwich, girl. Let's see here. Let's see. My son Nathan says that's why the guy didn't know who David Lee Roth was when that guy prank called that club on the Howard Stern show. Oh, that is funny. Yeah, if you've never heard that, go and on YouTube and type in David Lee Roth phone prank. I
gotta check that out.
He calls a club, all right, and it's just funny. You have to the guy he talks just like David Lee Roth, and he's trying to book himself into this guy's club, and he goes, "Hey, my friend, this is David Lee Roth. Wow, I want to book myself into your club." And he says, "How many people does your club hold?" And it's a black gentleman. It's a black club. He goes, "What's your name?" He goes, "My name's David Lee Roth." And that guy goes, "I've never heard of David Lee Rock." He says David Lee Rock. And I was like, that's not his name. And he said, "All I need is I ain't gonna say that.
I gotta hear that.
If you Google that or search for it on YouTube, you will laugh your butt off. It is funny, man. It's funny. Man. I don't want to get in no trouble on here. It's funny. Okay. R2R3 says, I still have Eat 'Em and Smile on cassette. Oh, wow, man. I got I want to make a quick point. I want to hear what people say in the chat about this. And Dave, you chime in as well. There's a lot of people, man, and everybody's different. Different strokes for different folks. I heard a guy say this on another YouTube channel the other night, and it really struck a chord with me. It made a lot of sense. He said all of his music is digital, and he says I don't do that for the sound quality or whatever. He goes, I do it for convenience. He says I have all the songs and all the albums I want are on my phone, and that's the way I am. I love all my stuff right here. So, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like vinyl. A lot of people like the CDs, and I'm just curious what y'all think. What do you think, Dave?
I'm like half and half because I do like the warmth of analog, vinyl, and the cassette. What I like about the CD is the CD is so easy for local and independent artists to manufacture and sell, and plus a CD is like a shrunken down version of an album, so your artwork is you can still see it.
Right.
But I also like the convenience of having everything as small package as possible, because now we're very, very mobile. Society became very mobile, and remember back in the day when you had the 12 CD changer in your car, so you have to have that big thick book, like a phone book of CDs,
Yeah.
You don't need it. And if you leave it in the car in the hot sun, it would like warp or something, it would skip and everything. So that's done.
What's wrong with this thing? Yeah.
Or the cassette tape. Remember the cassettes? They get stuck, and all of a sudden you pull the tape out, and the tape is just like this. You gotta get the pencil and
you take a pencil and twist the reels back up. I remember sitting in my car doing that, and people were like, "What is he rolling a joint?" I'm like, "No, I'm sitting there trying to get my cassette back up, man." Yeah, that was the good days, man. Let's see.
Oh yeah, it was, man.
Let's see. JJ Collins, he says, the Vi and Sheehan Eat 'em and Smile Band was a one-off thing that was supposed to happen last year at NAMM. They did it this year, but only did 3 songs on YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. J.D. Collins also says, I have the vinyl. Eat 'em and Smile and Skyscraper. Yeah, those 2 albums.
Oh, yeah. Skyscraper, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And Steve Vai, I've heard him say that he knew when he joined David Lee Roth's band at that time. He said, I knew I was only going to be in there for a short time because he knew where he was going professionally.
Right.
And, he was with Whitesnake for that one album as well. Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard that when they asked him if he would join that band and go on tour, they paid him $1 million, and he did it. Well, hell, I would too. $1 million.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot of money, and that was back when that music was popular.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Now he did the tour with Whitesnake, and let me think if I remember correctly, Adrian Vandenberg. He hurt his wrist because when I was at the '89 NAMM show,
that's right. Mm-hmm.
I was in the Gibson booth, and then we took a break, and I happened to go into the PV booth, and I was jamming on some of the amps and that, and there was this guy with blonde hair, and I'm looking again. It was Adrian Vandenberg, and he had his wrist.
Yeah.
So I remember he asked me a question if I studied at GIT, and I told no. I said I'm local here. I'm in Chicago. Well, what school do you go to? I said, I went to Sidewalk High. I said, I'm poor and I just practiced my ass off. That's all I do.
Well,
he just looked at me.
So that's why they brought Steve Vai in, because he broke his wrist, because he couldn't be on tour, I imagine, right?
He couldn't be on tour. And that okay. There's all kind of conflicting stories, but I do remember seeing him. He had his hand in a wrist.
I remember that now. I remember. Now that you say that, I remember reading about that in the Guitar magazine so many years ago. I remember that now. Yeah, I remember that now. Let's see. Well, his comments are flying. Thank y'all for commenting and being in the chat. Thank y'all for being here for this show. Let's see. Let me go back. Ed Dana says Mick Jagger just did a video playing his guitar. Yeah, I saw that. That was cool. And
I got to check that out.
That was awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Yes. Nathan Hughes, my son, he says, I'm not a big fan of Weezer, but they did a whole album of 80s covers, and it was fantastic. That is an excellent album. They covered Toto. They covered Michael Jackson. They covered Tears for Fears. They covered Aha. And, man, that whole album, I ain't going to tell you no lie, I was shocked. I was like,
I got to hear that.
That sounds killer. And I'm missing it. I'm forgetting his name. the lead singer of Weezer. I had it on the tip of my tongue, but man, he is a great singer. He is a great singer.
You,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
oh no, sorry about that, Joe. You know, a lot of those bands in the '90s that we would, were kind of putting down because no one was playing lead guitar or anything. A lot of it was done because the industry said, "Hey, this is the hottest thing, so this is what you got to do." But a lot of those bands, there were some great musicians, and that's why when you see them do the stuff they're doing, that's a result of them. Okay, I couldn't do this back then, but now the doors are flung open, and now
Yeah.
you really get to see how great they really are.
Yeah, they're fantastic, man. Let's see here. Shifty. He says, I have a living room dedicated to physical music, vinyl, CD, tapes. It makes you consume the music and just to hear it. Oh, cool. All right. That's great, man. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that's in Florida, and he's got one of his rooms where he has a drum set. There's nothing behind him but just vinyl albums, hundreds of them.
Wow.
And it's like you're in a music store back in the day or something. Ed Dana says, I'm old, but all my music is digital. Also, my 2018 car doesn't have a CD player. That's a very great statement because that just shows you how things are changing. It used to be, back when I was growing up, the car had an 8-track. You remember that day?
Yep, I remember the 8-track.
And then we're old, man. And then it went to a cassette, and then eventually in the 80s went to CDs, and that was here for a long time. And now that's gone. Now everything is with a phone and an aux cord, and and that's it. Let's see. Denny Allen makes another comment. He goes, "I think music on vinyl. I'm sorry. Let me start over. I think music on vinyl, tape, or CD is good for a collection, but digital for frequent listening. That's I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's like I said. I just love having it right here, and I've just never been a big vinyl person, and it's." I'm not putting it down. I just never have been, Nathan Hughes, I have 3 doors down. No, I'm sorry. I have 3 Doors vinyl albums and also 5150 on vinyl. That's right. My son is a huge Doors fan. He's a huge Doors fan. Mr. Collins, I'm like 75-25. I still buy albums, CDs, etc., but on occasion, I will buy digital. I understand the convenience of digital, and I do have music on my phone, but I still love the experience of physical music. There you go. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nathan Hughes' Whitesnake album was called Slip of the Tongue. Thank you, son. Appreciate that. That was the one Steve I was on. Thank you. Mr. Brian Cody has joined the chat. Hey, Mr. Cody, how are you, man?
Brian Cody, what's happening, buddy?
Thank you. Ed Dana says, I don't even know where my wife put all the CDs. Yeah, I don't even know where mine are. They're probably somewhere. I have no idea. Let's see. People saying hey to everybody else. R2R3 Lockingnut, the virtuoso from Chicago, says, I remember the PV Vandenberg. I remember that. You remember that?
Yes.
Hey, I remember that.
Yes. That was the guitar. That was the guitar I played because back in '89, that was the line of guitars coming out.
Yeah.
And I forget the head was like the VTM or VTH or something series. And what it was is that, all right, it was real similar to a Marshall master volume, but it had this little panel door. You had to take the panel door off, and it had these little sliders.
Oh, okay.
Real like mini sliders if you wanted to like change any type of settings with the EQ in that.
That's wild.
It was cool.
Well,
it was pretty cool.
Let's see. Nathan Hughes says, can you imagine going back and having to fill Steve Vai's shoes? Oh, like playing some of those songs? That'd be tough, man. Steve Vai's in a league of his own, man. He's from another planet.
He is, yeah.
Weezer does Mr. Blue Sky, and it's insane. Oh, wow.
Wow.
R2R3, the Weezer guitar player, is a shred meister. Yes, he is. He's awesome.
See, that's what I mean. See, back in that, when, their pop albums, if you want to call it that, you really didn't know that they could play because they had to play what was required. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it really works.
Yeah.
But boy, I tell you what, it's behind closed. Now your son has mentioned something about Billy Corgan. Corgan.
Billy Corgan was crazy smart. Not a fan
Yeah.
of his music though. Yeah, he actually, if I if I'm quoting this correctly, he owns a wrestling federation now.
I think he does. I think you're right.
Yeah,
But
he
you know what, Joe? Back in the day, I was in this band. Now R2R3, you might still know that the guys might still be out there gigging. They're called Seventh Heaven. Well, the guitar player, Nick Cox, and we were in a band called Fourth Rising. We used to practice at this place called the Space Place on Ashland, Milwaukee, and Division. Well, there was a recording studio in there, and Billy Corgan was recording their first songs for Smashing Pumpkins, because the girl would come in, and it's the closing of the '80s, right? So bands like Queensryche and Whitesnake, and they're still going strong, and then here comes Smashing Pumpkins, and the girl looked like Laura Ingalls from Little Outhouse on the Prairie in that. You know what I mean? It was weird. It was just a weird setup. But I remember sitting in the lobby, and I'm over there jamming on my acoustic because I did not have the key to get in the rehearsal room. And Billy's watching me play, and he told me, he said, I never could really get that shred thing in that, but I kind of, I got my own thing going. And I remember saying, you know what? It's not how fast you play. It's where your heart is. Just do what is you. And I didn't know who he was, and just to realize that, wow, look at Smashing Pumpkins, they became, and that's great.
That's wild, man. That is wild. Ed Dana says, does anybody remember Extreme Wholehearted? I love that song.
Oh yeah, that was great,
fantastic. Of course, their big hit More Than Words put them on the map.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember Wholehearted. I've always loved their albums. Those Extreme albums were fantastic. I was a huge fan of those albums. Let me see.
I know what I got.
Let's see.
I'll be right back, Joe.
Okay, buddy. Ed Dana says my van even has a USB media input. Nathan, my son, says some new cars don't even have an aux input. They're going wireless Bluetooth. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Didn't Adrian Vandenberg have his own guitar though? Wasn't it? Is that what you was referring to, R2, or was you referring to an amp? Because I remember he had his own guitar. I remember seeing that in the guitar magazines back then. I could be wrong. Okay, I'm getting behind on these comments. Shifty says, I own Highway to Hell, Appetite, Zeppelin 3, 1984, Morrison Hotel, and CCR hits on every format. Never know when you're caught in a field with a tape deck or need to connect to some speaker with your phone. That's right. That's right, man. Was Paul Gilbert in Extreme? No, that was Nuno Betancourt. That's Nuno Betancourt. Yes, son, that's right, Nathan. That's president of the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance. That's correct. Yeah, I couldn't remember what federation it was. R2R3 Lockingnut says Seventh Heaven plays our Summerfest in Schaumburg every year. Oh, Rob, that was for Rock and Dale. He'll be right back. He might have to step out for a second. Let's see. Yeah, More Than Words was the other song. Let's see. Yeah, Nathan, I remember that, Nathan. He said I bought Pornography 2 for $2 at the UCD store. The best $2 ever spent. Yeah, man. 7/8. Hey, man, what's going on out there in Little River?
708. What's up, man?
Out there in Little River. I pass
your Joe, exit.
I pass your exit. I pass your exit all the time, man. Going out there. Oh. Let's see. Yes, R2. We were talking, Dave, while you were going. I remember Adrian Vandenberg had his own guitar, and that's what R2 was talking about. That's what I thought he was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, he said, yeah, it was the guitar, the PV Vandenberg. That was the guitar I was talking about. Okay, I thought he was talking about an amp. because I was
No,
like, I remember the guitar he had. I remember he had the headstock was like upside down.
yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And where the cutaway or the horns were, like the Strat body, it came in and kind of it cut in a little bit. It was a weird shape,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It looked cool though.
It
At
was a
the
nice
time,
guitar.
I
Yeah.
thought it was cool. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Um, here's oh man, I want to say I know. I had the answer right on my. Let me ask y'all, Dave. You might know, but we was talking about Whitesnake for a minute there. That original lineup of what was it, Still of the Night or whatever the name of that album was,
Yeah.
and that original lineup never even toured. They like all that busted up before.
Yeah,
Before
they
that,
did a few, I believe. They did a few, but and actually, I think there was a guy named Bernie something. I can't remember his last name. Starts with an M. He was, I think, Whitesnake's original guitarist.
that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of the guy's name that did the solos for those
yeah.
songs, and I can't remember his name, and I had it and it just slipped, and
He played a Les Paul, like a Sunburst or like a
some
Lemon Drop.
something
Yeah,
something like that, and but his feel on all those songs, those solos, his feelings vibrato. I always
oh
loved
yeah.
that. I was just like, oh my god, man! It was John Sykes. Thank you, R2.
John Sykes. Yep.
That's who it was. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, John Sykes. Yeah, I wonder what he's doing now. Man, I wonder what he's
I
doing.
know, man. It's
JJ
yeah.
Collins. Okay, this is okay. That's why JJ Collins hit Vice Snake. There you go. JJ Collins says David Coverdale fired the whole band. I didn't. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I did not
We
know.
know Coverdale used to be in he was in Deep Purple for a while, and like with 74.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Yeah, John Sykes. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't see that till just now. Thanks, man. Yeah, all that stuff was really cool. JJ Collins also says that he has a new record coming out this year. Oh,
Oh wow.
that's interesting. Yeah, because I know they're doing some dates right now. Whitesnake are, but of course they don't draw the big numbers like they used to. But Def
It's
Leppard
so
is.
sad.
Def Leppard is still drawing arenas. I heard that on
Wow.
Eddie Trunk show the other day. But like they said, Def Leppard sold a lot more albums. You know, so
You know what? I agree with your son. Nathan's got a good point. Vibrato is key. Crappy vibrato will ruin a solo. Just ask Kirk Hammett. No, no offense to Metallica fans.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I've always that's one thing I've always told him. I said, vibrato is an expression of your personality, so to speak. You
Yep.
know, you got to have good vibrato, man, and that's something I still work on today, and that's something that I'll keep doing until I'm dead, because good vibrato, man. And Dave, you would know this better than anybody. It takes a long time to master a really good smooth vibrato,
Oh, it
and
does. Yeah.
and I still struggle with that too, especially on the low register, on the low strings and all
Yep.
that, because when you get down here, I can't pivot my wrist, like up in the upper registers, but down here you have to do like a little different technique,
It's a different technique. Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
so there you can kind of tell the difference in between the two. And I'm trying my best to keep it where it's a really good seasoned guitar player. Their vibrato sounds the same all over the neck. Sounds
Yep.
the same. And I was
Yep.
like, that's one thing I was like, man, how? And one person too that I've always loved their vibrato. I don't know if anybody's going to know who this guitar player is or not. He's not really on the guitar scene anymore. I think he's more behind the scenes and maybe production and doing a lot of stuff. Blue Saraceno. Does anybody know who
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Saraceno is?
I know who Blue Saraceno is. Yeah.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah.
When I remember back in the day when when guitar magazines were cool to get and had all the cool shit in there. Every once in a while, Guitar for the Practicing Musician or whatever would put out
Yep. I remember that.
would put out an album, and it was all these different guitar heroes of that day, like Nuno Betancourt and Blue Saraceno, Zach Wild. They would all have these little all these instrumental songs. And man, I used to listen to the hell out of that stuff, man. And I remember when I heard Blue Saraceno for the first time, I said, "Who is this?" And at that time, he was like 19 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and he had the plaid guitar, and he was incredible. And it's wild.
He was great.
It was wild that he played for Poison for on one album, because when C.C. DeVille got fired or got kicked out, he took his spot for a while. And I was like, oh my God, you know, he's incredible, man. He's incredible. Let's see. 7 over 8 says, I've always wondered how Van Halen 3 would have sounded like with Coverdale instead of Sharon. I don't know. Like a Whitesnake album, maybe? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's interesting, though. I did see that, son. I did that. See video of him slipping on his wah pedal, Kirk Hammett. Yeah, that was messed up, man. Damn. I hope he didn't get hurt. Yeah. I don't want to see nobody fall and get hurt.
No.
Yeah, that's messed up. Oh yeah, Blue Saraceno, Zakk Wylde, George Lynch, favorite vibratos. Yeah, those guys are killer. That's awesome. Man.
You know, it's hard. It's hard when you get like the Shredders into these bands that they're known for their songs, and this is what will test a good guitar player, is if they could play the role of that band or play the role of that song without doing any speed bursts or shredding or anything. That's when you can start to tell that these are really good. They're not just good guitar players; they're good musicians.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah. You're right, man. You're right. Absolutely right. We're going to check out these last few comments and we'll wrap this up. It's after 11. I didn't know it was that late.
I didn't know it was that late either.
I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't know it was.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You know, and I'm sorry I had to leave because the doorbell rang and it was the Reverend. He's looking for Lucretia. I said I'd send her back over to the YMCA. I said, sorry, Rev. You know, please bless me.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh boy. Oh my God. We're gonna be here for another hour. Oh my God. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's see.
All right, brother.
Oh, that's funny, man. Okay. Nathan says there's footage of YouTube of Blue Saraceno playing with Cream at 17 years old. That's right. Blue Saraceno was good, but actually Richie Kotzen was great in Poison. Oh, that's right. I forgot he was in Poison too.
That's right.
That's right. He got kicked out because he slept with the bassist wife. That's what I heard on
bad move, man.
Yeah, I was like, man, what are you doing, man? They kicked his ass off the tour bus in the middle of the desert.
Woo.
Yes, sir. Man, I said, uh-oh. I said, oh, well. But he is, aside from all that, he is a killer singer and guitar player. He's awesome, man. Kirk Hammett got right back up. I wonder what James said afterwards. All about Kirk Hammett falling. Oh man, I don't know. That's wild, man. Man. Van Halen should grab Michael Starr from Steel Panther. My son says, yeah, he sounds.
Oh yeah,
he sounds just like Dave back when Dave was in his prime. He's awesome. Tessie Switch, hey man. Johnny Bean Raid, awesome. Thank y'all for slipping over here, man. Thanks a lot. Johnny
nice.
Bean Raid. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Gus G can do that. Play all those Aussie songs and play in his metal band Firewind. Oh, okay. Yeah. Danny Alexander. Hey, man. Thank y'all for stopping by, man. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. Hashtag Johnny Bean Raid. That's great. All right. Cool deal, man. Thank y'all for stopping by. Thank y'all for checking this out, the Dave and Joe show. Thank you very much to my co-host, Rockin' Dave Byron, man.
Thank you so much, Joe. This is awesome, man.
Yeah, this is great, man. And if y'all want a shirt like Dave's, send $59.95 to his P.O. box, and he'll send you an autograph.
An autograph, and we'll get Lucretia to autograph it too.
Oh my God! Give me some cornbread, girl. Lord have mercy. All right. Hey Sammy, hey everybody, thank you for coming over here and saying hello. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up. If you didn't get a chance to watch, please check it out on the replay. And my co-host is Rockin' Dave Byron. You'll see the links for his channel in the description below as well, along with some other YouTube channels you should check out. Until next time, my friends, thank you for being here. My name is Joe. This is the Joe Wentz Project TV, where guitars still live and breathe. So long, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, brother. Rock on, guys.
Bye-bye.